Hey folks, today we're going to do something different. Today we're going to, well, not tell something different. Actually, it's the same like one of my other videos where I created an approval process, but this time we are going to use that acceptance or decline to create a new team in Microsoft Teams and maybe a bunch of channels as well. Stay tuned, give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and make sure that you subscribe. So welcome back to our trusty old SharePoint slide. So as I said in the intro, we are going to create an approval process where a SharePoint list is going to track the newly requested teams, and that will then trigger the approval process that will be sent to the manager. In this case will be me again, and based on the response, the team will be either created or not created. If the response was positive, then we will create a team, and maybe we'll create also one or two channels. Then we will update the item in our SharePoint list and send a notification to the requester. Okay, so let's jump to our SharePoint site and create a new list. Let's call it Teams Requests. Create. So we'll need a team name. So based on that, we will name the team later on if the request was accepted. So let's rename this to team name. Save. Add a column. This one will be for the person who is requesting the new team. So let's make a person column. Name it requestor. Click on save. Next column will be for the trigger we will use to start the flow. So let's make a choice column and call it request team. We'll put two choices, one for yes, one for no, and set the default value to no so that the flow will not be triggered immediately. First, when the requester sets this choice column to yes. Save. Now we need another column for the status. So when the approval process has been completed, we want to update the item, and we either set it to approved or declined. So we'll create another choice column and call it status. And we'll have one for approved, one for declined, and one for pending. Let's change the colors here. I don't like the blue. Bring it green for approved, red for declined, and let's keep it yellow for pending. And the default value, we want to have it on pending because it's either approved or declined, right? So let's bring the pending, save. And now we need the last column. I mean, you can put it whatever you want into this process, but the last column for this example, which is mandatory, will be the column that will help us not get into that infinite loop we talked about, I think, a video ago. So let's create a choice column and name it updated by flow. And this will have only two choices. One will be yes, another one will be called no, and default will be no. Otherwise, if it's yes, it will not trigger the flow. And I don't care about the colors because we will not see this column anyways. This is just for flow. And click on save, and let's hide it immediately. Drop down, column settings, hide this column. Okay, so now let's do something else before we jump to Power Automate. When you click on new, you will see we have a bunch of options here that we can fill in. But we don't want to let the user be able to edit this. So if you click on the right hand corner here on this edit form, you can click, then it shows edit columns. What this allows us to do is to eliminate the columns the user sees. So if you deactivate the updated by flow, the status, let's move that out as well. And that's it. So now we have to go to Power Automate to start putting the flow together. Let's click on New Flow. It will be an automated flow. Let's call it Teams Generator. My typos. And we need to have when an item is created or edited or modified, because as we learned in previous videos, we want the trigger to be able to be activated multiple times, right? And then it should check the drop down. And we should select when an item is created or modified so that the flow can go and check if the item has been modified as well. Click on Create. Now I should select our SharePoint site, which is the one we always use. The list name is called Teams Requests. Next step. So now we want to put the first condition, which was updated by flow or not. This will allow us to overcome that infinite loop issue. So let's search for a condition. There it is. So we want to say here, updated by flow value is equal to yes. So if it's equal to yes, then we don't want to do anything, right? Because it has been updated, it's everything great. But if it's no, then start our process. So let's go down this route and put another condition now to check if the user has set the column for the approval process to begin or not. So we need another condition. And now we need to check for the value, request team value is equal to yes. So if the value of the column request team is set to yes, then we want to start the approval process. So if you go down this route, search for approval, select the start and wait for an approval. We'll go here, we can select between the multiple options. I will go with first respond. If you have multiple approvers, then it makes sense. So the title will be a new approval request assigned to your manager. In this case, it's me again. So Elias. Details, we can leave it empty. Link to item might help. So we need the link to item for that SharePoint item. If you select the advanced options, we can put the requester as well. So who requested the new team? And that will be the requester we have in our SharePoint list. So let's search for requester, and we need the email address. So I think this is done. It's not requiring anything else. Let's add an action. So now we want a condition to check what the outcome of this approval process was. Click on condition and choose a value. So the value will be outcome. It says here the outcome of the approval. Click on that. If that is equal to approve, then we go to the yes route. If that is equal to no, well, declined, then we go to the no route. So let's start with the yes route first. I'm a yes person. So if that was yes, then we want to update the item in our SharePoint list. So let's jump back into it. This one, then the list name was Teams Requests, and the ID is the list item ID of the item that triggered the flow. So it says here when an item is created or modified. The title, this is now the team name, and it's a mandatory, so it will not allow us to save the flow without putting something here. We can search here for title. Next, we only want to change the status value from pending to approved, since we're in the yes route. And next, we want to change the updated by flow value. So this has to show now yes, so that the item, it is not triggered anymore. So if you can see here, this is what will happen next time. It will see that it's yes, because it was updated here to yes. and it will go this route where it does nothing. Otherwise, it will be again and again back in the loop. Add an action. Okay, we updated the item. Next, we want to create the team. Add an action. Search for Teams. Microsoft Teams. Team. So the name of the team will be the title from our SharePoint list. So let's search for title. The description, let's call it new team named, and let's bring the title again. Title. In the advanced options, we can select also if the team is visible for everybody, so public or private. Let's make it private. 2 channels. We will want to create 1 or 2 channels. So let's click on add an action. Microsoft Teams. And here, let's scroll it down. Here you can see there are multiple options. We need to create a channel. It's still in preview, but it should work. So it needs a team ID. The team ID, it will be receiving it from the previous action, which is create a team. So if you select the drop down, it will search for teams that are already in my tenant, but you should be able to enter a custom value, and that will pop up the dynamic content on the right. And you can see here from create a team, the new team ID. So click on that, and that should be able to do the linkage between the channel and the newly created team. The display name, customer related stuff. Let's create another channel and channel. It's requesting again the team ID. For that, you will have to be a little bit careful not to grab the ID of the channel. Otherwise, it will not find the team where to put the second channel. So you will have to search for ID, and you have here create a channel ID. We don't need that. If you scroll down, it says create a team ID. So that one. The name of the channel. The second one will be internal related stuff. Okay, so we updated the item. We created a team. We created 2 channels. Now we want to send a notification to the requester telling him or her that your new team and channels have been created. Email action, send this email notification, click on that. So to whom do we want to send this email? Let's search for requester, because we use that column in our SharePoint list. So we need the email. It will be team request approved. Let's copy the same and paste it there. You can make it pretty. So if yes route is done, we're sorry. So if the approval process comes back as declined, we want to do something as well. We want to update the item and send at least a notification telling we're sorry, try again next time. So let's add an action here. Let's update the item again. Select update item on SharePoint. Go to your site. Select the list, Teams requests, and select the ID again of that SharePoint item. So the title, we said we will bring the same title back in. You can delete these mandatory columns in your SharePoint list, or you might have even more. So the only thing will be title. So this will not change, and the only thing will change is the status value. It will go from pending to declined. And now the updated by flow value will remain no, so that next time when the user tries to send another request, the flow will be triggered and this will run. Send a notification, mail, send an email notification to that person. So that was a requester email, and we want to tell him that the team request has been declined. Let's paste that in there as well. If built in this. So So now Flow will complain and say that you might come into that infinite loop that we've been talking about, but that's why we built in this condition. It should be okay. Let's just close it, put it on test mode manually, click on test. So now the flow should be waiting for a trigger. And let's put the new to our SharePoint list and create a new item. Select new, with now. Let's put a team name. Let's call it Contoso. The requester will be me. And let's select yes. So if we save it now, it should trigger the flow. We will go to our email and check the approval process, and then we will jump to Teams and see the newly created team and channels. Let's click on save. Go back to our, so the status is on pending. Go back to our flow. Okay, so the flow was triggered. It's green here. The condition is now running, and it says running here. So it's happening nothing yet. It's waiting. Let's go to our email and see the request. So it says here Microsoft Flow, requested by me, the date when it was requested, a link to the item. Okay, let's approve it. Click on approve, click on submit. Let's jump back to Power Automate. So we are here now, and the expression went through. Okay, so the wait for approval, it was approved. So now it's into the condition. The condition was true because it was approved. It's updated the item. Let's take a look. It says approved. It has created a team and 2 channels, looks like, and also notification. I think I heard the bell. So let's take a look in team and also notification. And as you can see, it created the Contoso team we triggered, and it has the general channel, which is the default one. Every time I create a team, you get that. And the 2 channels we automatically generated via Power Automate, the customer related stuff and the internally related stuff. If you look at our email, I think we should have received a notification as well. It looks like it ran. Yep, there it is. It says team request approved. If you want to unsubscribe, blah, blah, don't care about that. Okay, it looks like it ran successfully. Fortunately, private channels are not supported yet. There is a way to do that over an HTTP request. This might be a future video, but let me know what you think. Hope you liked it. Give it a like if you did so. Make sure that you subscribe, and see you on the next video. Cheers.